Hi everybody. The 19th edition of the Strade Bianche will be run this Saturday, the 8th of March. This year around, we have 16 gravel sectors, good for slightly over 80k on the white stuff, out of the 213k the riders have to cover. Overall, the race has become harder compared to former editions. In most occasions, the race is won solo, or we get a few riders battling it out in the streets of Siena. Back in 2021, all of us have Van der Poel's thermonuclear attack on the Via Santa Catarina on their minds. In 23, Pidcock completed an epic solo, while last year Pogacar redefined epicness by completing an 80k solo and ending the race nearly 3 minutes ahead of Skuns and Van Gils. When a few riders approach the finish together, note that the finale is very specific. With 2k to go to the finish, the route starts rising at 9%, and with 900 meters to go, the riders hit stone pavement. The gradient here is over 10% until 500 meters from the finish, reaching 16% at its steepest. We then get a sharp right-hand turn, and the road keeps rising gently till 150 meters to go. The win is usually taken by a one-day specialist of some kind, as you can see from this overview of the winners of the final 10 editions, featuring Pogacar twice, taking 2 wins out of 3 race starts. On his first participation, he took P7. By doing so, Pogacar became one of the Strade GOATs, along with Cancellara, who won the race twice back in his days, and Kwiatkowski, who's also lining up this year around and who also won the race twice. Here's an overview of some of the riders lining up with previous experience in this race, including 3 former winners, Pogacar, Pidcock and Kwiatkowski, and some additional riders with an above-average top 10 track record here. Vogelsang, Welles, Formolo, Valter and Romain Grégoire are the main ones drawing my attention. Here's the betting odds at the time of recording, with Pogacar the outright favourite, followed by Pidcock. And then here's the riders from the preliminary start list to watch in my book. Starting with Soudal Quickstep, where it will be interesting to see how Landa and Van Zevenand fare here. And somehow, it's Van Zevenand I'm expecting. He seems to have a bigger one-day edge. At Ineos, Kwiatkowski's wins date back a long time, yet the man is still in form, just off an impressive win ahead of Del Toro in the Classica Jaén. And don't rule out Laurens de Plus either, third in the Algarve, behind Vingegaard and Almeida. Pogacar at UAE Team Emirates, supported by a strong team, as expected. And at Visma Leasebike, Valter is the one to watch, 4th, 5th and 19th over the final 3 editions. Also Tullet finds a course here that should suit him. Bilbao is the man to watch at Bahrain Victorious, 10th, 5th and 7th on his former 3 participations and starting the year strongly, 3rd in Valenciana and 3rd in the UAE Tour earlier this year. Then we have Healy at the F, 12th here on last year's edition. No Van Gils at Bora, following sickness, which is really a pity, and frankly, I don't see any of the other names filling the void he creates in the roster. And Formolo is the one to watch at Movistar, 2nd, 24th, 9th and 7th on his earlier participations. Grégoire or Madouas at Groupama, with a slight preference for Grégoire on my end, based on what we've seen so far this season. Scaroni is my rider to watch at Astana. He came into this season very strongly. Zana at Jaiko Alula, 9th here on last year's edition. And while you're at it, keep an eye out for Alan Hatterley, the 2024 mountain bike cross-country world champion. At Trek, we're seeing a very strong block here, and it's Simmons and Baggioli I'm liking most, especially Simmons tends to thrive here. At Picnic Postenel, it's Max Poole I'll be watching. This is more or less the first one-day race he enters ever, and I find it extremely interesting to see how he'll fare. Vauquelin is the one to watch at Arkea, 21st here on last year's edition, on his first participation, and coming into this season strongly, winning the Étoile de Bessèges in commanding fashion. Van Eetveld was 11th here on his first run last year around, and Aramburu at Cofidis also remains a rider who should be able to do well here. Note that Simon Carr has been replaced by Valentin Ferrand. Pidcock at Q36.5, who's had some good stage race performances this season and who finds a race here that suits him much better than the Omloop at Nieuwsblad. 5th, 1st and 4th on his earlier 3 participations here. Gianni Vermeers is the rider to watch at Alpecin. He's never made it into the top 10 here, yet always delivers a solid result, and the team overall showed its form during the opening weekend. Then I'm not expecting too much from these Intermarché and AG2R lineups. Note that at AG2R there have been changes compared to the lineup presented here, with Vendrame and Isidore replacing Nans Peters and Paul Lapera. Keep an eye on youngster Blackmore at Israel Premier Tech and Kroon and Kort at Juno X. Kroon rode top 10 here in 23, yet I'm not too impressed with his form coming into this season, something that can't be said of Magnus Kort. Third in the Gran Camino, he never did really well at the Strade though. The same goes for Hirschi at Tudor, who should in my book really be able to do well here, and finally, I'm not expecting too much of the Polti boys. In terms of stars, Pogacar is my only 4-star favorite, Pidcock gets 3 stars, Bilbao, Welles, Van Eetveld and Scaroni each get 2 stars, and Formolo, De Plus, Gregoire and Healy each get 1 star. Here's the odds for my star riders at the time of recording. In terms of the podium, it's hard to argue with the bookies on this one, and I'm calling Pogacar for the win ahead of Pidcock and Scaroni. Thanks for watching, enjoy the race, and see you soon for my Tirreno Adriatico and Paris-Nice previews.